This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media, sponsors of the 2024 Natural Resources Investment Symposium, taking place July 7th through 11th in Boca Raton, Florida, or via live stream from the comfort and convenience of your own home. However you choose to attend, understand that we're going to present between 50 and 60 hours of very intense, high value programming in 4 days. More programming than you can absorb in the 4 days that you have to absorb it. To that end, whether you attend in person or via live stream, recordings of the conference will be available to you, and you can and should review them so that you get all of the information that we present to you. Further to that end, we interview every exhibitor and every presenter at the conference before the conference so that you can learn about the material that will be on offer and use your time and resources more efficiently. Note further that every public company exhibitor at the conference has been vetted, and vetted, among others, by me personally, which is to say that every public company exhibitor in the conference is owned in an account owned or managed by myself. No guarantee that because I go own a stock, it goes up, but certainly a guarantee that unlike any other investment conference on the planet, every single exhibitor here has been vetted. The participant in the process today, as we speak, is Glenn Jessome of Silver Tiger. Glenn, first of all, thank you for your efforts on behalf of shareholders, myself included. And thank you, too, for sponsoring or agreeing to help sponsor the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. It's a pleasure to have you.
Rick, great to see you again. I think the last time was at VRIC when I think you were on a panel. I was on the silver panel. I ran into you for a minute. So it's just great to see you again.
Glenn, let's get right into Silver Tiger. What I'd like is a brief overview of what it is you're doing and what you offer up investors before we get into the weeds with some questions from me.
Look, Rick, it's real simple. We've been in Mexico more than 25 years, our group out of Halifax. We've built a number of mines in Mexico, silver mines, sold 3 more to majors during our period of being there. Silver Tiger is just the next. We've been at this since 17, Rick. We've raised $100 million, 75 million bought in the last 3 years in a tough market. And we've really moved the project forward. Franklin Templeton, Sprott, Sam, Van Eck, Merck, they're all our biggest shareholders. They gave us that 75 million, said get to work, and we're pretty well ready to build the next great mine in Mexico. That's a summation, Rick. Now there's hundreds of thousands of meters and PEAs and pre-feases. We can talk about all that, but we're pretty well there, and it's been a 5-6 year journey.
Well, let's talk about it. Tell me about the PEA or the pre-fees. Talk to me in terms of net present value of the deposit relative to the market cap, tons, grades, that kind of stuff. Let's do a couple of numbers.
Let's do some numbers. First of all, I should tell people who are not familiar, Sonora, we love Sonora, great mining jurisdiction. This is a big land package, 35,000 hectares, but no. All our drilling's been around the old Tiger mine, 1908 to 1930. 100 million silver equivalent ounces the Americans took out of there, average grade of 2.5 kilos, cutoff grade 1.2. Drill under and around it, it's going to go well. 2 components you have to understand to this project, Rick. Open pit, always need that in Mexico. Bulk tonnage easier to fund that underground. So right now what we've done, call it so people get a picture, 85 million silver equivalent ounces in the pit. Talk about that. Beautiful grade. Talk about the pre-fees that's almost done on that. Underground, another 100 million silver equivalent ounces already drilled off. First inning there. We got 35 kilometers of this. We've drilled 3 or 4 around the old mine. There'll be lots more of that. PEA on that for the underground first half of next year. Let's talk about this beautiful pit. You want to hear numbers? So PEA came out November. Pre-fees will be done another month. PEA, 287 million USD NAV. IRR 56.1%. The payback for that is 1.7 years, 59.1 million USD cash capex. Generates about $500 million USD free cash flow over the 10 years of mine life we have already delineated for the pit. All-in sustaining costs, very important in a world where they're screaming towards 20 on average. We're 11. So beautiful pit. We can talk grade and strip. which has driven all these incredible economics. And imagine taking that much money as a profit from a 59 million USD capex. Yeah, we can't wait to get at it, Rick.
And to put this in context, what's the current market capitalization of Silver Tiger?
Under $100 million. It's been tough sentiment, but you know what? Listen, you said value proposition. When we start our first year, and it's 12 months to build this, and I'm going to tell you who's going to build it because you're going to know them. We're going to be in the same range of production, 5 to 6 million ounces first year out of the gate, as an Aya or a Silvercrest. Silvercrest a bit more. We're 80 million. They're screaming towards 2 billion. There's your value proposition. If we execute and build it, and those numbers are right, which they are, there's your trade.
Or put differently, less than 100 million market cap for $250 million net present value for the open pit, which theoretically funds the underground.
Correct.
In terms of catalysts, Glenn, certainly the PEA, understanding the size of the prize, was the first catalyst. When might we expect the PFS, and what other catalysts do you think confront us in the next 12 to 18 months? How do we know more about the deposit and hence lower the risk from our own perception point of view?
Very, very good question, Rick. So we were PEA November of 23, 30,000 meters of drilling since then already finished. Golder's done all the work, geotechnical's done, metallurgy's done. We're at the bench now writing the report. End of January, that report will, January, end of July, early August, PFS will be done just in time for Beaver Creek. What's really nice about it though, Rick, is we're going to build on that PFS. I can't get really into the pit, 53 million tons, but we had a beautiful starter pit in there. So the first 3 years of production, when you see this PFS, you're going to see measured and indicated there, 1.7 payback. My data room is full of all of the smaller lenders that we're going to, try to do a deal with to get the CapEx money to build it. And they've been in there 3 or 4 months now. So, we're going to build on this PFS. And I got to tell you at some point who's going to build it for us, and I'm going to give you some of his words about how fast we're going to do it. Catalyst, of course, permit. We're already permitted for the underground, very important. When I bought the public company to get LT Gray in 17, 800 ton per day as of right underground permit. We've filed our permit amendment last July to use the same mercurochrome cyanide for the pit. And the guy who's driving the boat on that is, and maybe you'll know his projects, Rick, it's very important. Francisco Albalez was the driving force behind Argonaut, and maybe you know Francisco for 12 years. Built Castillo, El Patia, like all of their mines, and ran them. Permitted them and built them and ran them. And he's the guy who's got the keys since a year ago now. And he's the guy who's filed all those permit amendments. And he's the guy who saw Joe Foster. We had a site visit last week, and Joe came down from Van Eck, and you know Joe well. And he looked Joe right in the eye and said, get the permit. It's 12 months start to finish, and I'll have it built. So we're very excited to maybe become, the next significant silver producer in Mexico.
Glenn, let's go back to the 35,000 meters of drilling and the PEA. Is it likely that there will be a resource upgrade as a consequence of that drilling?
So you know what's really exciting there, that 35,000 meters, when we had an overall 2-to-1 strip in this thing, that's why it's so great. And the overall grade in that pit, and you'll understand it, we don't call it a high grade pit, it was 0.7. So what we started to do a lot of drilling, especially at the footwall hanging wall, which we considered waste in the first one, Rick. And then we found a keel zone under the pit with all this drilling. And we absolutely will be doing how PEAs work. PEA usually you lose a lot of your inferred, so you actually go down in tonnage. We've already press released we're going up in tonnage and contained metal from P to PFS because we've drilled a lot more of what we thought was waste is now ore. So yes, there will be an MRE update as part of this PFS in July or August.
That's very helpful to know. So to recap for our audience, the market capitalization is substantially less than the fully diluted net present value of the deposit in the PEA. We could look forward to a PFS, which defines in much greater detail the PEA, and we can look
Mhm.
forward to reserve and resource update increase in the PFS, which is before we bother to consider the underground. Did I say all of that correctly, Glenn?
You said it exactly right. And remember, we don't put ourselves in boxes. As we're doing all the work on the pit, we've continued throughout the last year, taking a little break right now as we finish the pre PFS, but the underground is moving right along. The last thing on the underground we need to do now, and it's being done, is the metallurgy. All that column work is being done. And, I'm looking at first quarter where not only are you going to have this PFS and hopefully we're steaming ahead with a build, but that first economic sort of report on the underground, and that'll be exciting to get that out there because remember, we're permitted as of right for that underground deposit.
Uh, and that first information comes by way of a PEA for the underground?
Yeah, that'll be the underground.
Cool.
We're talking January, February 2025. You'll see the first the PA on that. That's the plan.
Here before you know it. Glenn, thank
Absolutely.
you for your activities on behalf of shareholders, especially me. Thank you, too, for your sponsorship of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. To the extent that our attendees want to know more about Silver Tiger, who specifically do they contact and how do they reach that person?
Rick, I'm a guy who likes to talk to my shareholders, so they can just reach directly out to me. It's Jessome Jessome, my last name at silvertigermetals.com, and I'm even going to give them my cell number 902-499-9000 up here in Halifax. And anyone who wants to talk to me about the tiger, I'd be more than happy to hear from them.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Glenn, it has been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm delighted to host you at the Natural Resources Investment Symposium. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Rick, and I'll see you in July.